Well, they say in winter location is everything, and I've taken it a bit to the extreme by visiting 2 different fisheries in the same session. I started over on Wraysbury North Lake, where I managed to locate some fish late at night, get on the fish the following morning, but with a huge northerly crosswind coming, it made putting the bait out really quite tricky, and after a time I found that the fish had definitely moved off of that area. I spent some time walking the lake and talking to the other anglers, and I couldn't locate any other fish, and I'd heard only 1 fish had been out that week. That was enough information for me to get on the telephone, and I spoke to Paul at Grenville, only to find out that Pete in peg 12 had had 5 fish already that day, and Steve in peg 10 had had 3 earlier in the week. That was more than enough info for me to jump in the van and head across to Grenville. On arrival, I thought peg 14 was a good bet. The wind was pushing straight into there, and that was very, very close to where Pete was having his fish from. I know a spot in peg 14, so flicked a marker out to that, about 23 wraps out, and luckily for me, Paul offered to do a bait drop for me to save me the spodding. I put 3 rods out on that spot, and not long afterwards had my first bite. And in the morning, before we got to do the pictures of my fish, Paul asked us to come and do the photos of Pete's fish, because he had 4 fish through the night. There were 4 retainers bobbing about in his swim. Why we're filming me, I don't know. We should be filming Pete. In the meantime of starting to do the photographs, he has another bite and another fish. So we're filming that fish as well. Ends up with 5 wonderful fish, including this almost 50-pound stunning autumnal coloured common, which is an amazing looking fish, and this near 52-pound mirror, again, amazing fish. That's his second 50 of the 40-hour session. I mean, that's incredible in the winter. We're back in our swim now, and it is looking good. Pete told me there's been some bites through the day, so we're going to sit it out till last knockings in the vain hope of just 1 more fish to see out the year. So what I'm doing here, because we've got a massive wind blowing across to my left and an undertow therefore coming back off the bank going to my right, sinking the line is really important, and this can take time. What I'm doing is I'm very slowly sinking the line and bringing it back until eventually I can feel the lead, and it can take up to sort of 5 minutes, but it's really important to make sure you've got a nice straight line to the bait. Well, let's get this 3rd rod out on the spot, and then I'll talk you through the multi-combi rig, which has caught me so many fish this year. It's been a brilliant rig for me. We'll go through that after I get this rod out. So the rig really needs no introduction. This is the multi-combi rig, a super successful rig that I've been using an awful lot in the last couple of years to great success. The way that I've got this set up is pretty straightforward. Overall length 10 inches, about 8 inches of the fluorocarbon, which is the 30-pound kickback, and that's crimped at one end with a long 50mm anti-tangle sleeve to push everything away from the lead, both on the cast and if it gets picked up on the bottom. To that, using an Albright knot doubled over, I've got the ammo braid in 25 pound, and that's 5 turns up and 2 turns back on the Albright knot, and that creates a D which I can then loop onto the hook so that I can quickly change the hook and change the aligner really quickly. I'm using a 12mm pop-up there, and you'll notice, unlike when I use this in a wafter or a bottom bait, I'm actually using this as a pop-up. Now the reason for that is here at Grenville, spinner rigs aren't allowed. So to get a low line pop-up, this became a brilliant solution. Now I've not critically balanced this because I don't want this bait to waft around or lift up off the bottom as either big fish go by or feed, or indeed if the undertow gets really strong, which is quite common on here. To that end, I've gone with a very large amount of blend putty to absolutely nail that hook bait down to the bottom. What this means is not only is the hook bait nice and still as the fish are feeding, but if a fish does pick this up, that putty will drop that point of that hook into the bottom lip super quick and really effective. Well, I used this rig back in the autumn time to great success. I managed to have 4 fish in 48 hours here at Grenville to £49.07 using that overweighted pop-up in 34 feet of water. Great session that was. And then when I arrived here last night, confidence is key. I knew I could get pickups on that rig and I knew it would work. So once I found the spot, got the bait out there, 3 of these were deployed, and within less than an hour I had a fish on the bank. An absolutely stunning cold water carp in beautiful condition from Grenville in all of its colours and glory at just over £40. Well, we've come to the end of that session now. 24 hours on Rosebery, no bites over there, and then jump across here to Grenville for 24 hours and a £40 4-ounce carp graced the net. Brilliant session, super happy with that result. The weather has changed dramatically today. It's gone crystal clear skies, the wind has dropped right down and the temperature's dropped with it. It's probably 7 degrees colder now than it was this time last night. So for me, it's nearly Christmas time. That's the last fish of the year. Time to pack it all away, get in the van, get home and enjoy Christmas with the family. So wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2025.